And what do you think should be included in yoga philosophy? Why are we learning yoga philosophy?
The history behind yoga as well, like the story behind why it started or what it means.
Okay. Anybody else?
So like the 8 limbs of yoga, that kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah, very good. And do you know anything about 8 limbs?
Elaine touched on it a little bit.
Okay. So is there anything that would have caught your attention in 8 limbs?
It's more like it's a lifestyle to live by rather than just going to a mat and doing postures.
Yes.
It's not just the moves, it's like even your breath, that's...
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the limbs, like...
Absolutely.
Even to the vegetarian diet or, stuff like that, it's kind of wide. Yeah.
Yes.
Way to live.
Yes. So it seems like you already know a little bit about what is philosophy of yoga. But today maybe we'll try and get all these different pieces together and make it look like that one beautiful piece that you are actually practicing on the mat is only part of it. So we will discuss 2 main things. One is about the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita has very important place in yoga philosophy, and the second thing is 8 limbs of yoga and Patanjali. So to begin, I'm going to start with a prayer that is dedicated to Muni Patanjali. So I invite you to bring your hands together. Yogin chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam patanjali pranjali ranatosmi. And now release. So this is a prayer which is dedicated to Muni Patanjali. There is very little known about who was Patanjali. We don't know. Was there really a man called Patanjali, or is it just a mere story? If we go into history, we see that this was like a designation or a title that was given to certain learned people. They were called Patanjali. So maybe there was one person who was called Patanjali, or maybe there were many, and it was the combined work. So we never say that yoga was invented by Patanjali, but certainly there is this first person who put it all together in the scripture. So the first person to preserve that knowledge of that time, because in Indian subcontinent and probably in other part of the world, at that time, we are talking about at least 3,500 years ago, there was no... Sorry, do you mind turning off the audio, because it is distracting for me, and I'm like, why can I hear another sound? Okay, perfect. So so what we would know that somebody, because at that time there was no way of preserving the knowledge. So, and the only way students learned is how you are learning now. So there used to be a guru who would sit under the tree, and there would be disciples or pupils or students who would just come. So there used to be like a chabutra. Chabutra means like a raised platform that you make around the tree. So the guru will sit there so that he can see everybody, and then the students would just sit on the ground and they will listen. So Shruti, it's called Shruti. So you hear and you learn. So because you're so focused, you don't need to write down everything. You're absorbing what the Guru is saying. So students learned with the method of Shruti. So pure listening, active listening. That's how students learned everything. And this information was passed on from one generation to another generation. But this was the first time that attempt was made to preserve all that in writing. And how he did that was by just writing small sutras. So what is sutra? Do you know the meaning of sutra? Sutra is like a thread. So thread can be this size, thread can be that size. It can be as big as you want to. If you keep, pulling, it can go as long as you can go. So Patanjali wrote Yoga Sutras. 296 Yoga Sutras. So sutra is S-U-T-R-A. Sutra means thread. And Patanjali wrote those Yoga Sutras. They are literally 1 or 2 liners. So I have slides on that, and I will show you those slides, and I will tell you where to get more if you are interested in learning more about philosophy. Not everybody, philosophy is not everybody's cup of tea. But in your yoga teacher training, it is part of your curriculum, and that's why, thanks to Elaine, she has invited me, and I'm here to teach. So let's first talk about Bhagavad Gita, and then we will come back to 8 limbs and Yoga Sutras. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Bhagavad Gita is more fascinating, more interesting, and it's more modern because that was not as long ago as Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So that was probably, it's hard to say. It's hard to put any timelines on these things, but we can easily say few thousand years ago when this knowledge was imparted on a battlefield, and the God himself took the birth of a human. So, God is a very abstract thing. God is created by human. It wouldn't be wrong if we say that. It's both ways. Human created gods and God created humans. It's only the way that you want to look at. So everybody can have their own God, or everybody can choose to worship whosoever they want to worship. So we are going to first see this. What is Bhagavad Gita? Sorry, can you see clearly? Is it better now? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bhagavad Gita is timeless, and that's why even though it was said 2000 or whatever many years ago, it can still act as a guide at any stage of life. So if you're going through any trouble, any dilemma, any problem, if you open Bhagavad Gita and if you find one of those slokas, if you just read and try and understand the meaning, it will show you a path through that problem, because it's like a problem solving. So what Krishna was trying to do here is to solve a problem, and the whole world revolves around problem solving. If you talk about any businesses, anything, so everything survives because every scientist is solving a problem. That's how they make inventions. So same thing here, that Krishna is solving a problem, and that's Bhagavad Gita. It is really must for spiritual seekers and for yoga teachers, because you won't be teaching just a simple physical practice. Like if you were opening a gym, you wouldn't need to understand Bhagavad Gita. But if you are going to be teaching yoga, yoga is for mind and body and soul. So you must provide something more than just a simple physical exercise. And for that reason, you need to understand your own mind and your own soul, and you need to be able to help your student to see their own mind. You won't be helping them to see their mind. You will be helping them so that they become aware of what is going on in their own mind and how they become more aligned, so that their mind, body and soul is all aligned and they live a full life, a joyful life. So Bhagavad means God, Geet means song. So Geet means song, so it is a song of the Lord, you can say. And it is part, like Bhagavad Gita is just a small little book, but it is part of a big scripture which is called Mahabharata. And Mahabharata comprises 18 chapters and 700 verses. Its author is 𝙔𝙤𝙜𝙖, who wrote Mahabharata. A story of student and teacher, divine and human,